Hi everyone, welcome to the channel dedicated to sharing the profound insights and wisdom of Andromedan contactee Alex Collier. If you're new here, you're in for a journey that expands your mind and consciousness, bringing you closer to understanding the messages from the fifth density Andromedan extraterrestrials. For those returning, we're grateful for your continued support. Before we dive into today's enlightening content, we have a small favor to ask. If you find value in the knowledge shared in this video, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the bell icon so you never miss an update. Your engagement helps us amplify Alex Collier's message, allowing us to reach a larger audience with these vital messages. We'd also love to hear from you, so please engage with the comments below. Whether it's a question, your thoughts, or even just an emoji for the sake of engagement, every comment counts. We read every single comment, and your feedback is incredibly valuable to us, as it all contributes to our mission of expanding this community. So please don't hesitate to leave your thoughts below. Additionally, if you'd like to support us further, consider giving a super thanks tip by clicking the heart with the $sign. This small gesture allows us to continue bringing you more of Alex's messages, unfiltered and directly from his lifelong experiences with the Andromedans. Today's video includes a compilation of several of the many important questions Alex Collier has received over the past few years, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy today's video.
I'm wondering how the A's spend recreation. Do they engage in artistic pursuits, music, painting, writing, stories, etc.? Do they just tend to work most of the time? Wondering, because after all is said and done, let's say everything goes well and we enter an age of prosperity, what direction might we evolve in, how we create our reality? Many thanks.
That's a really, really good question. And I don't know that I am qualified to even answer it. They do have music, but their music is different than ours. They, to them, from what I understand, work is pleasure. Although we would call it work, but they don't get paid to do it. They don't have to do it in order to survive in their community, in their culture. They do it because they love it and because they're interested in it, which is why they're taught all the arts and all the sciences, and they go to school for the equivalent of 150 years. But again, you know, their lifespans are 17 to 2300. That's the average now, I think. Or 2100, that's the average, 17 to 2100 years. So, you know, they have a lot of time to explore and to do the things that they love or that they're interested in. And of course, those interests can change. They spend a lot of time with their children. Again, it's very difficult to know what those things are like because they're telepathic. I was told that their music is where they will take the sounds of stars and solar systems, supernovas, black holes, and what they'll do is they record those sounds and they will overlap them in a way that it creates music that they enjoy. Now, I have shared with them music from our world, and I have found that they like classical music and smooth jazz. They do not listen to anything that has lyrics. They're simply not interested in music that has lyrics, because they feel the essence of the soul and or creation in the sounds itself. And that makes sense, actually, because a lot of classical music, the composers wanted to tell a story, but they had to use just sound because there was no medium at that particular time to record a voice or sound. So some things were put to voice, but the predominant music of classical music is sounds, and they're telling a story. And that story comes from them, from within. And the A's themselves are very, very specifically interested in that. Jazz is the same way. The blues is very much the same way, because what's happening is you're using the instrument to express your emotion. And they are very interested in that, not the lyrics or the words. I've not been able at all to get them to be interested in anything with lyrics. So for me, I listen to rock and music. I listen to all kinds of music. But when I'm specifically know they're paying attention, I will play music that they're interested in, new music. I'm constantly sharing music with them in my everyday life, because I know they pay attention. So it's a give and take, it's a symbiotic relationship. By being a part of their culture, they're a part of ours. And I treat it as such. It's not to say I'm perfect, because I'm not. I screw up plenty. But hey, wisdom comes from experience, and experience comes from poor judgment. Listen, thank you for being here. I'm sorry it was such a small group today, but it is what it is. Always pray to have eyes that see the best in people, a heart that forgives the worst, a mind that forgives the bad, and a soul that never loses faith in God and or Creator. We're going to be okay, guys. We are. I know it's tough sledding. I do. And it is. It's tough sledding. But hopefully we form community, and we have a group of like-minded friends around us that we can bounce things off of. What this whole process is that we're going through, now that I have shared the big picture with you, we're good. We're good. We just have to have faith. And that can only come from within, from each other, and from our connection to Source. And Source is real. Source exists. The extraterrestrial civilizations, they don't create dimensions. You understand? They do not create dimensions. That level of physicality, that space, had to have been created by Creator, by God, the generator of dimensions. And the entry point of each of our souls had to be created outside this space as well. So we're on this journey. Technically, I guess you could say, if God was outside and created this universe, and then created the dimensions, and then brought consciousness into these in the form of souls, I guess you could technically say at some point we were all angels. And we decided to take different roles. And no matter how broken some of the pieces of this holograph become, they will always find their way back home, and that's back to source. Maybe this ascension of Earth is one of those pieces where a lot of brokenness is going to be healed and brought back by our movement from third to fourth to fifth. At least that's how I choose to see it. We're playing a significant role here. Because many of the civilizations in our galaxy may have roots in other universes or other galaxies. We don't know the chain reaction we're going to create outside of our galaxy. It could be infinite for all we know. So let's just stay focused in the time we're in right now. And appreciate what it is and continue to make room for change, okay? Let's make room for change and embrace the change as it comes. I moved because Merlin's got a fan club. He's the real talent here. And plus it's time for a WALK, a walk. And he can tell time. He knows when it's time for a walk.
You have described some of the effects on the Schumann frequency changes on us. How does magnetic north, which notably shifted, affect us? Could it be related to our inner compass of truth?
It could. It could. You know, most of our technology on this planet is geared to the polarities of the planet, to north and south. And there has been a considerable amount of conversation regarding, well, if we had a magnetic pole shift, what would be the first thing, the first significant change to occur? And the first is supposedly that humanity would become disoriented, as would nature. Nature would eventually adapt to it. Humanity might take longer, but see, we really don't know, because whatever records that there were regarding the history of this planet and all the changes it's been through are somewhere in 50 miles of tunnels in the Vatican, in the catacombs. That's where most of the knowledge has been hidden and kept so that humanity wouldn't have it. The other is that most of the technology that we have today would cease to work because it's orientated to a north pole, to a ground. So, you know, how much of that is just plain theory and looking ahead? Well, we don't know. How do you create a scenario like that? You know, you can't just flip the pole for 3 weeks and say, okay, now we know. You can't do that. Now, there's rumors that down in Antarctica, they have found technology that would keep the magnetic poles from flipping. I don't know if that's true or not. But I think eventually we'll find out. Some of that information is going to have to really start coming out, what they have going on down there. So we'll see. We'll see. There are multiple of levels of events and occurrences happening. There are multiple levels of events of past and present, future movements of reality that are moving like sort of like a kaleidoscope. And at some point, they're going to lock into a position and everything's going to change, just like that. I do not see it going bad. I absolutely do not. There is just way too much help here to have that occur. And ladies and gentlemen, you know, everyone's truth is not going to be the same, because everyone has their own perspective based on your own filters of your life experience. And that's okay. But one thing we will all end up agreeing on is that there is far more to us as souls in a physical body than we have ever been taught. And to me, that should be the ultimate truth we all want to know. Who are we? Who am I? Who are you? Those are the questions we should be looking for the answer to. Because everyone has their own truth. You know, we're going to run up against facts that we either like or we don't like. But how you perceive those is entirely up to you. And your perception is your truth. But the fact is, those of us who are souls, there is so much more to us than we have ever been told, or maybe at this point can even realize. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. There will be a global aha moment of all of humanity, at least those that are alive and who are not clones. But those of us with soul, there is going to be an aha moment, and we're all going to get it. And we're all going to get it at roughly the exact same moment. And that moment's coming soon. It's coming very soon. I'm not going to put a time or a date to it, but it's coming soon. You can see it build. You can see it build. You know, there's a lot of talk about first contact, and it's interesting that a lot of this is coming from the metaphysical and the exopolitics community. And, you know, frankly, they ought to know better. We've already had first contact. Our ancestors had it. They, you know, the Chaldean text, the Sumerian text, they were living with us on the surface. We have them still, some of them, even though they're regressive, living underground. You know, they've been here. So there is no first contact. They're reinitiating contact with those of us on the surface. That's really what's going to happen here, and that's really what's going on. This is not, oh, wow, you know, they're suddenly here. You know, the knowledge is here on the planet. You know, many of the ancient Arabic texts written in Arabic, which are called mythology, You know, they just say that because they don't want to own the fact that they bullshit everybody about our history. They've just flat out lied about what our history is. But the ancient Arabic texts talk a lot about the relationship of humanity and extraterrestrials. The Chaldeans, their books, their knowledge, which we, again, historians call mythology, that's rubbish. You don't take the time to chisel a novel on a clay tablet. That takes a lot of work and time. They were recording actual history. You know, they weren't about, they were about reality. They weren't about creating a fake reality. Nobody did that then. All that bullshit came in when the Matrix was created to pull us away from reality into creating a world that they want in which they could feed off of us. So, you know, some of us have had it right all along. And, you know, they're still peddling the narrative. And it's bullshit. And the reason I share this with you again is, you know, the deep state, the cabal, the OG, Orion group, I really shouldn't say that group. Big Dipper, Little Dipper, you know, they're never going to surrender. They're going to go down the way they're going to go down. And there's still a couple tools left in their belt. Well, the big one is to stage a fake coming and or alien invasion using the holographic technology, which, by the way, is very, very good. It's very good. But if you realize that none of this is new, that our forefathers and foremothers, our ancestors, have had relationships before the whole thing went dark and they went underground or left, then you realize that this is not end of the world as we know it. This should empower you in explaining this to your loved ones that, hey, we've been here before. But the knowledge has, number one, been kept from us, or two, it's been called mythology, so we would dismiss it. And three, it's been intentional to keep us blind, dumb, and off balance, so that we would not stand in our power when this occurs. Remember this. Whenever they enter your space, it is the manner and custom when entering my space that permission be asked. You hold your sovereignty. You declare your sovereignty. You may be an earthling, but you are a galactic being. You are a multidimensional soul. And no one has the right to fuck with you. No one. Unless you surrender that. Unless you give it up. And that's entirely up to you. You don't have to kiss anybody's ass. Ever. So don't. Don't. You have just as much right to be here as anybody else, whether they're from Earth or not. Capiche? And I mean this. Don't take this bullshit.
The true nature of time can be so puzzling and mysterious. I'd like to hear your insights on how time travel seems to be possible from the vantage point of higher densities. Also, anything you can advise about seeing into the future, changing the past, jumping timelines, a soul's ability to reincarnate into any chosen point in Earth history, and related topics. Yeah, so I'll just go go and make some dinner. Then I'll be back in a half hour. Okay.
Exactly. Wow. JP, when we're done, those two last questions especially, can you email those to me? Please.
No problem.
I think the reason why it's incomprehensible to us is because we don't understand the true nature of reality. Why is it that time travel seems so untoward? It's because we do not understand the true nature of reality, because it's been erased out of our everyday narrative. We, one, don't understand the structure of the holograph we live in. Two, we don't understand our true relationship with the holograph. Three, we don't understand our true relationship with interdimensional space and soul and time, and what that actually is and what it means. We do not understand the true nature of third density, fourth density, and fifth density. All of that knowledge has not been taught us. It's been stripped out away from us to keep us stuck in a timeline that literally has enslaved us. So, why is it easier on fourth and fifth to time travel? It's because they're educated. They all practice the law of consistency. And that is what's the best way to explain that to everyone here? The law of consistency is a living educational doctrine that all past knowledge, all present knowledge, all future knowledge is presented to everyone in those realities equally. And it is presented unvarnished and as true as can possibly be known at that time. As more information or knowledge is acquired or gleaned from those future realities, it is then presented immediately to everyone in mass equally as well. In other words, regardless of your age or generation, all knowledge is shared equally. So what that means is, because everyone shares the exact same knowledge and experience equally, everyone intellectually has the exact same knowledge. So that each generation moves equally with the generations before it and the generations that come after it. There is a consistency of knowledge, of awareness, of truth that is shared by all generations past, present, and those in the future. What this does is it creates a harmony, a wholeness, a symbiotic relationship between everyone in that culture and civilization, with the past, the present, and the future. I'm sorry, the past, the present, and the future. And what that does is it allows everyone to move together as one consciousness, as one race, as a family, together. No one is left behind. They aren't dumbing down anyone because they understand that the survival of their race implies everyone moving together. Now, that would seem strange to us because we've been living in a structured reality that does completely the opposite of what other star nations and civilizations have been living and how they live. That is not lost on them when they come back here to visit us and see and understand what's been going on. That's why we don't understand these concepts. Scientists who spout it just simply isn't possible, they are stuck in theology and philosophy that is completely wrong. It's a narrative that is completely false. But they're paid to teach that bullshit to everybody. They're tenured in their universities to teach this nonsense that everything's limited. You can't. You know, and that is simply not how the universe was created. That wasn't the intention of Creator, to create all these life forms and systems and say, you can't. Why bother? Why bother creating any of that shit? That's not what it was. It's not what it is. This is all part of the awakening, is realizing that the limitations we've been living under are false. The limitations that have been put on us physically are false. The ability of us to create and to imagine future possibilities and to call them forth, we have been trapped in belief systems to keep us from going there. There are quantum physicists who, in order to go into the quantum realm, have had to go completely outside the box. Now, the powers that be, the cabal, have stressed over and over, you can only paint inside the lines. That you can't go outside the lines. You can only paint inside the lines. Quantum physicists, they're totally aware of the fact that, you know what? There's a lot more outside the other side of the lines. And that's where they are. They're outside the lines. And they're like, whoa, we never would have got this if we didn't go outside the lines. That doesn't make it wrong. That doesn't make it wrong at all. It just expands and erases the lines. You see. And frankly, that's what humanity has to do. We have to go outside the lines now. Because the lines that we were given were there to control and manipulate, to enslave. It's time to step and start coloring outside the lines. Because we have to grow. We have to expand. being multidimensional beings, by going outside the lines, we begin to remember who we are, where we came from, and what we know. We're not going to discover something we don't already know, but have forgotten because of all the conditioning and programming. That's all we've done. We've forgotten a lot of knowledge. But the minute we step outside those lines, out beyond that dogma and the programming, we begin to re-engage with knowledge we already know on a soul level. You know, the trick is, how do you get people to do that? To be fearless again, when they've been beaten down into submission and had the shit kicked out of them. How do you get them to suddenly be fearless and just let all that shit go and start coloring outside lines? That's part of the awakening. That's the universe stepping in and saying, okay, guys, here's some help. Here's some help. We're going to raise your frequency. We're going to reintroduce you to your Star Nation brothers and sisters. You're going to begin to remember who you are. Oh, by the way, all the history of your planet that's been hidden, gosh, somebody found it. And we're going to share it with you. That's the process we're going through now. And so our fuzzy little heads don't explode. It's coming in stages. Okay? That's the way to do this. I mean, you can only take so much, you know, in the awakening process. And once people are awake and they're like, whoa, I get it, then you don't have to push them anymore. You don't have to push them. They're going to go after it. Okay? Now you're going to have to try to hold them back just a little bit so that they can absorb all the knowledge. It's kind of where we're at the moment. At least that's how I perceive it.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found it insightful, please like the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future updates. If you have any questions relating to today's video, please also leave them below. We read all the comments and take on board what our viewers have to say about Alex Collier's work. Remember, your support helps Alex Collier's knowledge and the messages from the Andromedans reach more people. If you'd like to support the channel even more, you can give us a super thanks tip by clicking the heart icon with a $sign. It really helps our team bring you more content. Also, be sure to visit alexcollier.org to sign up for our regular email newsletter. It's the best way to stay updated with the latest news, exclusive content, and upcoming live webinars. For the latest insights from Alex Collier, check out alexcollier.live. And if you want to explore over 250 past webinars, head over to alexcollier.tv. Thank you for being a part of this journey and supporting Alex Collier's work. We couldn't do this without you, and we're genuinely grateful for your support. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the vast mysteries of our universe. If you would like to see the Andromedan contactee Alex Collier live via video stream, we hold a live online seminar every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For more information on upcoming live webinars, please visit alexcollier.org.